When we think about public speaking skills, I think we attribute them to our professional skill sets only, increasing our professionalism or professional attributes. But I also feel like the use of our voice affects every area of our life, including our finances. And today we have a special guest to talk about that specifically. We'll be right back after today's intro. You are excellence. Your mind is of excellence. Your visions are of excellence. Your unique superpower is nothing short of excellence. You amplify a voice of excellence. Your contribution to this world will be of excellence. You will achieve your highest goals and desires with excellence. Excellence in everything, every time. Happy Tuesday, and thank you for joining another episode of Excellence in Everything Live, where we highlight ways to develop your confidence, your competence, and your competitive advantage by way of using your voice. And if you have not yet met me, my name is Lanita Holston, and I have the privilege of coaching aspiring and current C suite leaders to overcome their fears of public speaking. If you're watching live, go ahead and type in the comments, I am here. I would love to greet you. If it's your first time watching and you're live, let me know where you're watching from. And if you happen to catch today's replay, you can type in hashtag replay. But if you're catching us on any of our podcast platforms, I am hugging you back through your headphones and really glad that you're spending this time with me today. So today we have a special guest. Her name is Romy Pickron, and we met on LinkedIn actually. And Romy is a certified financial planner, but she is what we call a debt slayer, really passionate about building generational wealth and creating healthy money mindset habits. And what I love about Romy is that she is amplifying financial freedom by way of her voice, but she did it by releasing her own fintech, co-founding a fintech platform to help decrease student loan debt or eliminate it, as I should say. So I'm so excited to have you on the podcast today, Romy. How are you?
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here with you. Thank you so much for having me today. I am fabulous.
Awesome. We love to hear that. So I got to ask you the question, how are you impacting the world today?
Wow, that is such an important question. And as a certified financial planner, as well as an entrepreneur of a budding fintech app, I feel that I am impacting the world today in a variety of ways. One being that I specifically empower underrepresented communities, particularly women and African Americans who historically face disparities in wealth building opportunities. Secondly, I am addressing the $1.75 trillion student loan crises through my up and coming app, Reducify. And we all know that the student loan debt crisis is a significant financial burden for so many individuals, especially for young adults. And I am just looking to make a huge impact within the industry. And then lastly, I believe that the work that I am doing is instrumental in promoting financial equality, reducing debt, and advancing financial literacy. So that's how I'm impacting the world today by shaping it to become more of an equitable place and a more financially informed place.
Mm. Wow, you have some big shoulders to hold the weight of the work that you're doing, and it's certainly necessary. Could you share a little bit with us about Reducify? You mentioned the fintech platform with the emphasis on eliminating student loan debt, and you mentioned the student loan crises. So, what is this platform that you have co created?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for asking. So, let me just give you a bit of a background before I jump into the platform. So, my co founder and I, we initially paid off $130,000 of student loan debt within 2.5 years, crushing the average student loan payback time frame of 20 to 40 years. So after we accomplished that huge feat, yes, Reducify was born because we felt like that if we could accomplish this huge feat, then we could also help other individuals do the same exact thing, since about 44 million borrowers are currently dealing with student loan debt. So we felt like we could replicate this strategy and make it available to the student loan borrowers who are searching for a solution. So that's the background of Reducify. Fast forward to last year, where we were simply an idea and a strategy. We entered into the Howard University pitch competition. Shout out to Howard University in the pitch competition. Really strong competitors and extremely strong leaders making a big impact there at the university. But we entered the pitch competition at Howard University last year, and only with an idea and the strategy. And we end up winning second place for a prize of $10,000 to develop the first version of our app. And that was $10,000 of non dilutive funding.
Mm.
And so we were able to use that money to develop the very first version of Reducify. So let me just get to Reducify. Reducify is an accountability platform to reduce student loan debt. Currently, we are in the private beta version, so we are not in the App Store because we are looking to make upgrades and to elevate the app before we actually place it in the App Store. And our aim is to actually partner and collaborate with historically Black colleges and universities, as well as women colleges, because what we found is that African Americans, Black students, we take out 85% more student loan debt than our peers. And women, although women are only about 50% of the population, we take out two-thirds of the nation's student loan debt. So Reducify aims to partner and collaborate with universities and organizations to serve the most disproportionately impacted population by student loan debt.
Mm. Wow. Wow. I'm always curious when a person has an idea
Mhm.
that they bring from idea to implementation. There's a sense of audacity that you have to bring something like that to the marketplace, and a sense of skill set or courage in the skill set that you have. What was it like to pitch at that pitch competition? Because that's a format of using your voice. Was that your first time doing a pitch competition and you won second place?
Oh my gosh. Just thinking about it, like you asking me that question, it brought me back to that moment because it actually was my first time pitching.
Wow.
Ooh, and it was nerve-wracking to say the least, but I'm so glad I done it. And I'm also so glad that I had the public speaking experience in advance to help prepare me, because it was a very pressurized situation. As you might imagine, the first time pitching with actually, and there was $40,000 on the line. And so my partner and I, we just prepared like crazy, and our mindset was we're walking away with some of that money, if not all of it. And so that's the approach and the mindset that we had from the beginning, although we were only in the ideation phase and not even having an actual product at that time. We felt extremely confident that our idea was enough to get us to that level and to bring home the grand prize, or at least some of the prize money. And so we were nervous, but we were extremely excited about the opportunity.
You said my favorite word, and that was prepare. You said we
Yes.
prepared. I heard what I heard you say was we prepared as best as we could. We didn't leave any stone unturned. We were ready, and even though we were in the ideation phase, we were confident about what we had prepared. So important. And when I talk to people about overcoming their fear of public speaking, it is preparation and knowing your content so well that no matter what the environment is when you get there, you can still be set up to win. So I love that you said that. You said one of my favorite words. I saw on your LinkedIn that you quote Madam C.J. Walker, and you quote her. There's this quote that she has, and Madam C.J. Walker is the first female entrepreneur, self-made millionaire, I would say, in the U.S. And she says, "Don't sit down and wait for an opportunity to come to you. Get up and make them." You quoted that on your LinkedIn. I wanted to ask you, what was it about that quote that resonated with you?
That is a great question. And Madam CJ Walker is my mentor, um, because I feel like if she could literally work from nothing, she came from what we would call today nothing, meaning that she had little money, she had little education, she had little help, and she was able to turn her situation around into millions and to create a huge empire to where she was employing people in the United States, in the Caribbean. She was setting up conferences. She was putting women through school, through college. She was funding families. She was creating generational wealth. And she literally created that from nothing. So she inspires me so much because I feel like if she could do that, then how could I not work with what I have to create the lifestyle and the life of my dreams? And so I also come from a family of individuals where we make nothing out of something.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I love Madam CJ Walker, and she is such a huge inspiration to me and many individuals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she absolutely is, and I'm sure you've watched the Netflix documentary or the movie, I would say. And I cried several times. I cried, I laughed, the hair stood up on my arms because I was inspired by her tenacity and her innovation and her willingness to like grab people along and take them with her. It was so empowering. It was so empowering. So that resonates with me as well. You have some keys that women can use to build financial wellness. What would you say are those keys to becoming a woman of wealth?
So, in order to become a woman of wealth, it really requires a combination of financial savvy, which is financial strategy, discipline, and so that's going to be your mindset, and then long term planning. And so that really breaks down into three different things to achieve this goal. And the first, and I would say the most important one, is financial education, because we all understand that knowledge is power. And since there's only about 22 states that currently require financial literacy to be
Mm-hmm.
taught in high school, so many of us come out into this world without financial education, without the knowledge of personal finance, and it's quite frankly setting us back. So it's essential that we invest time in learning about personal finance, and you can do that with so many avenues, whether there's books, podcasts, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn. There's so many free methods to invest time into learning personal finance. The second one I would say is to set goals for yourself. You have to get clear on what wealth building means to you, because building wealth means something different for each and every one of us. So get clear on what wealth means to you and then set specific goals. And lastly, you want to be able to consistently save and invest your money, no matter what you're starting out with. When I first graduated college, I started saving with $25 each paycheck. And initially I felt bad about it because I felt like it wasn't enough money. Like, it's only $25. What could this possibly do? But then over time, that $25 turned into hundreds of dollars. And then that turned into thousands of dollars. So wealth building requires you to have discipline
Mm,
and consistency. And if you do those things, then you will certainly be on your way to wealth.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Rami. I want to
You're
ask
welcome.
you. This is my the last thing I want to ask you, and if you have anything you want to share before we wrap up, please do. But what do you think is the thing that prevents people from using their voice to actually like implement an idea or to stand up and advocate for something that matters to them or to teach other people what they've learned in a way in which you're doing it because you're doing all three of those things. But I know that there are people who would love to do maybe not the same topic as you, but take your what they've learned and turn it into what you've turned your kind of like platform into. What do you think is that prevents people from doing that?
I think that it's a variety of different things. I know for me, one of the major things was fear. And it was fear of not sounding a certain way,
Mm,
or fear of not feeling like knowledge, or that I'm the expert that I claim to be. And also, sometimes I feel like it can be representation. Prior to me moving to Washington, D.C., I had never seen an African American or Black certified financial planner. So, although when I first began my career as a financial professional directly out of college at the age of 23, I was the youngest in my class then. um, I initially thought of becoming a certified financial planner, but because the financial planning industry is a predominantly male, white male industry,
mm,
I sort of talked myself out of it for some time because, frankly, I had never seen anyone like me with that title or with that position. So, a lot of times I feel like for women or for marginalized communities, it's simply representation. And sometimes it just takes seeing someone like yourself or hearing someone like yourself to imagine yourself in those shoes.
mm. And I hope that today someone who might be watching you sees you as the representation and decides that they too can actually pursue if that's the interest of theirs in the finance industry. Hopefully, you can be that inspiration. I love it. Tell us how we can stay connected. Where can we find you? Where do you party online?
Mostly, I party online on LinkedIn. That is my space. You can find me consistently on LinkedIn sharing the latest financial topics, whether that's by making a direct post or either a video. I'm also on Facebook as well as Instagram at Asset Achievers on both platforms. And then I'm also on both platforms with my student loan app, and that's at Reducify app on Instagram as well as Facebook. And then just my regular name, Romy Pickron, on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Romy. I'll definitely be at your LinkedIn parties to check out all the awesome things that you're doing. And if I could ever be a resource for you, you let me know. But thank you so much for joining us on today's episode. Really glad to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Awesome. Awesome. I love it. I get a sense of inspiration, hairs stand up on my arm, and I feel a sense of proudness when I hear people overcome their fear of using their voice so that they can unleash or unlock the thing that they really want to do. I feel like we put a lid on our capabilities when we decide not to pursue things because it requires us to be visible and it requires us to speak. I just feel like those are not, it's hard for me to accept those reasons as, I don't want to say good enough. Like, it's just not okay. I'm not okay with that. I always feel like if we could just push ourselves, like Romy did, push past the whatever they are, if they're blinders, if they're lack of knowledge, insecurities, doubts of self, imposter syndrome, when we can push past that, that is how we get in our creative mode. We were designed by a creator, a, a creator who creates, the ultimate creator. If we are made in God's image, that means we've been designed to create. And part of that will require us to use our voice. So, I'm a really big advocate of public speaking skills, but these skills transfer into every arena of life. And so you'll notice that on the podcast, I'm going to start bringing in different kinds of people who are using their voice in their own way, not just for public speaking, but because the skill is transferable, it is affecting other areas of life. So I just wanted to say that, man, that was so good. And if you have someone that you'd like us to interview, let me know. Shoot the recommendation. You can drop it in a DM, shoot me an email at info@lanitahosting.com. I will say this, next week is I think that's Halloween. I'm looking at the calendar. That's going to be our final podcast episode for the year. And I am going to ask you, those of you who are watching live, I can see you. What would you like that episode to be? Drop that in the comments. What would you like that episode to be? It's our final podcast episode of the year because we're going to make some changes in the new year. And I want to begin those changes in November so that we can release in January. So we'll be offline for a little bit, but we'll be back in January with the goods. I promise you, hands down, no cap, as my students will say. So I'll look out for your suggestions in the comments. Final podcast episode of 2023. What would you like for us to go over, share? What would you like to see? I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for joining tonight. I'll see you for our finale next week at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I love you. There is absolutely nothing you can do about it. You are excellence. Your mind is of excellence. Your visions are of excellence. Your unique superpower is nothing short of excellence.